Hello everyone and welcome back to Crowley House Flower Farm and Nursery. Today we are going to be putting together a pumpkin arrangement. This is something that's kind of a classic design and something super easy to do for your Thanksgiving table. So this is our midweek video, and so I'm just trying to do a little bit more education and tutorials on how we put something together. Everybody has their own way of doing things, but it's kind of fun to learn from others, maybe some little tricks and tips here and there. So this is just a really easy, simple, straightforward arrangement that anybody can do, and that just elevates your table, especially for Thanksgiving, a little bit. And you know, towards the end of the season, you have some leftover pumpkins, usually from, you know, decorating for Halloween. And it's always kind of one of those things, now, what do I do with all these pumpkins? If they stay here on my porch, they're gonna rot and be disgusting and, you know, just a ick mess to clean up. You can, you know, do a few things like roast them up, can them, make, you know, pumpkin bread. I have this really yummy recipe for a pumpkin kind of creamer that you can add to your coffee in the morning. So there's all these different things that you can make with your leftover pumpkins. And one of them is this beautiful, very simple arrangement that you can add to your table or gift to a friend. So I thought I would take you along. We have another beautiful day here on the farm. I'm gonna go choose a pumpkin. I'm gonna get all my things put together. I'm gonna cut some flowers from the greenhouse and the garden, see what's out there, and I'm gonna take you along as we put this together. You know, the holidays are just around the corner, and my brain has been just going and going and going about all the little things that I want to do this year. And one of them is, that's kind of towards the forefront, is just using what I have. I know things are very expensive right now, especially at the grocery store. So just utilizing things that we have, like our pumpkins, leftover decor. How can we reuse them? How can we repurpose them and get another oomph of joy out of them? So this is why this year I'm just trying to do these little videos for you guys to kind of give you some inspiration that spurs you on to take another look at some of the things you've purchased. Maybe how can we reuse them in different ways and just be able to save a little bit of money here and there. I know this year I've been thinking about just, you know, baking a little bit more, doing things like, you know, like the other day I made this amazing raisin bread that was, you know, had a little cinnamon in it. It's like a little swirl. Oh, so delightful. And just having that slice with your eggs in the morning and a cup of coffee, just, I don't know, there's something about that. Just taking the time to make that bread. It wasn't actually that hard. I'll bop the recipe below here along with my coffee creamer that I've made over the years. So those are two fun ways to just use up what you have in the pantry and, you know, as your fall decor from your front porch or what have you. Okay, so I've chosen my pumpkin, or in this case, it's a winter squash. You can get pumpkins like this from Baker Creek. That's where we get all of our seeds. Beautiful, beautiful seed. And this one's actually a winter squash. So excellent for roasting up and creating yummy, yummy things just like pumpkin breads and things like that. So what I have is a nice flat one because this is the size of vase that I'm using. There's several different ways that you can do this. You can cut a hole. You can fill it up with Oasis, which is kind of a, you know, foam that a lot of florists use. We don't encourage that because it's not biodegradable and it's also not very great for you to just be handling. We use it here on the farm very rarely, but there are times where we do still have to use it. But when we don't have to, it's great to just not. Anyway, so I'm gonna cut a hole about the size of this container. I'm gonna hollow it out, get out all of the pumpkin seeds because I think I'm gonna roast those up later tonight for just a little snack and to have. These are heirloom seeds, so you could harvest these, lay them on a paper towel and let them dry out and then have pumpkin seed for next year, or in this case, winter squash seed. So that's an amazing, another way to use some of these pumpkins or leftover things that you have on your porch. Now, if it's not an heirloom seed, it won't come back true to the pumpkin that it was originally. Sometimes it will, but very rarely it will be like this morph And that you can get some really crazy and fun looking things. Let me know if you've ever done that before. If you've saved seed and then grown something on, and then it just becomes this kind of fun experiment. And especially for kids in the garden, it's kind of fun. All right, so I'm gonna get to work cutting this out. I've got a bowl here that I'm gonna fill with water afterwards and kind of clean my pumpkin seeds with. But I'm gonna take that back to the house to do that. I went ahead and cut just a few things in the garden. So I've got some rudbeckias here, some of that deep brown rudbeckia. So pretty, love it. Some salvia here, which we grew from plug this year. It's just, I love that deep blue color. As you know, blue's my favorite color. Some geranium from the garden, and in fact, today that was one of my big projects, was propagating geranium. And next video that we do midweek, I'm gonna show you guys how to propagate, or how I propagate geranium for next year. And sometimes we even pull them out of the garden, the blooming type, and hold them over in a greenhouse if you have that. So I have some beautiful celosia here. This ended up being quite a bright and colorful arrangement, but I think that's gonna look nice against that pumpkin skin color. I have some snapdragons here. This is kind of an orangey, peachy yellow color. This time of year we tend to get like yellow jackets and bees kind of hovering and sleeping in the greenhouse, so you have to be a little careful there. But these are just gorgeous, so I snagged those up. Snagged up some mums. So mums, these are heirloom mums as well. Super easy to propagate. Again, we're doing a lot of that this time of year. Taking cuttings, putting them in soil, rooting hormone, anything like this, we're using a #1 rooting hormone. Very light. So I have some of these beautiful yellow. If I have time, I will bop the names on the screen here for you guys. But this is a yellow, beautiful. I love this one. And it's just perfect for, you know, fall. Then I have this guy here, which is more of a cinnamon color and with a darker foliage on it. This one's also one of my favorites. And you can tell I'm cleaning along as I'm going and talking to you. And that's super important if you watched our last week's video on designing a 3-point design. That is key, that you keep all the foliage out of the water to extend the life of your flowers. I have this kind of raspberry blushy one here. It's really nice as well. You know, and you can grow these in your garden. They just require maybe a little bit of staking, is what I found. This one, I mean, hello, right? Gorgeous. So I'm gonna get my muscle out now and start cutting away at the pumpkin. You can see how nice and rich. It smells so good. Very sweet. Almost citrusy. It sounds really weird, but that's what I'm getting. Oh, so yummy. So now I'm just gonna take the pumpkin and I'm gonna carve out any of the little flesh and all the seeds. There's not too much here, so it's not like I have to work too hard. I think Braden's not gonna get as many pumpkin seeds as he was wanting, so I might have to do another pumpkin and just roast it up and probably just can it, I'm thinking. We'll see. I used to love, as a kid, just getting my hand in here and getting all the slimy seeds out. That was just the fun of it. Now, you know, it's not my favorite, but there's a decent amount of seeds and definitely could save a few back to plant in the garden next year. So I have all my pumpkin seeds ready to go. I'm gonna get those cleaned up, just soak them in some water, and we're gonna try and roast those up. I think they'll taste pretty good, you know, just as like a midnight snack. I don't do that anymore, but you know, a snack with TV or something like that. Really yummy. Here's another tip for you. If you want to keep this from molding, especially if this is indoors, spray it down with a little bit of bleach and water, and that will keep it, and do it every couple days. You can put the vase in and out and just kind of keep that clean. It'll keep the bacteria count down. But for us, we're gonna be celebrating tomorrow with a Thanksgiving type dinner. So this is just gonna sit on the table for one day, and then I'll probably take it outside, because you know, fruit flies and things like that can get everywhere. The sun is just so brilliant today, and it's very warm, which is really nice. Here in Oregon, we don't get too many days like this, especially in November. Usually it's, you know, the sun's only up for a few short hours. It tends to be that our daylight's time is just really, really short. So we just treasure these few hours of sunlight that we have. I think the sun is up around 7 o'clock, and then about 4:30 it's starting to set. So it's only going to go downhill until the end of December, right before Christmas, and then things start to turn around. All right, so I'm going to grab just a few more things from the garden here for my little arrangement, but first I wanted to try my little vase and make sure that it's going to fit perfectly, and yes, it will. This is kind of a short, squatty pumpkin, so filling this part here so you don't see the vase is going to be key. Now, if you had some tape or something like that that you wanted to like strap across the top to kind of hold your stems together, especially if you're not super skilled yet on putting arrangements together, that is a nice aid that kind of helps you keep your stems in place where you want them. But I'm going to show you a few tricks to do if you don't have any tape, and just how to hold those things together. But first of all, I see some bronze fennel that is in bloom, and I'm going to go grab it over here in the garden, and I might grab a few dahlias that are still blooming. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to go see if I can find a few more things. Got my clippers. Off I go. So I found some of these white ball dahlias. There's a small ball. I found some beautiful yarrow. Look at that, still blooming in the garden. This is a pink one and a white one. And then again, bronze fennel with just seed heads. I thought that would be kind of nice. Any type of herb is good to add to any pumpkin or fall arrangement, especially if it's for a Thanksgiving dinner. So this is gonna go pretty dang quick, but I ended up getting some of this. This is my favorite foliage this time of year, which is rosemary. Now, I know that not everybody can grow this, but it is something fantastic that you can use as a structure. So what I'm gonna do is I've got 3 pieces, and I'm basically doing that 3-point design. Again, if you saw my video from last week, then you saw where I used it as structure, but I also had something down in the water to help me hold everything together. But if you don't have any tape or anything to hold you together, it gets really frustrating if things start falling apart. Again, I'm cleaning off my stems really well. Don't want that down in the water. And I'm gonna take these and just kind of lay them in that kind of 3-point design. Now again, this is going on a table, so I don't want it huge. Actually, this might be going on our sideboard. I'm not totally for sure yet. So it could be like a focal arrangement that's, you know, on your, you know, entryway table or something like that as guests arrive. I like that idea a lot, actually. So you can see how they're kind of crisscrossed down there. That's gonna act as an armature. That's gonna act as like something that's gonna hold your flowers in place instead of chicken wire or tape or something like that. So it's a really easy way. Use something like your foliage that's gonna be twiggy, that's gonna hold up well. That will help you out and make it less frustrating when things start falling apart. Okay, so now I'm gonna try and hide all of this down here. And so that's where that bronze fennel that I was eyeing will come into play. I just want to take little bits of it and kind of hug the sides. Just clean it up a little bit. It looks a little raggedy. It is the end of the season, right? We also have a little bit of scented geranium, which really is helpful. And then I'm gonna show you another little trick to hide that little space if your vase is a little bit tall, like mine is. I'm using my scented geranium now, which I'm just kind of tucking around, getting it all the way around. Okay, so let me show you the trick on how to hide the rest of this here. Because I'm using everything that I just have on the farm, I'm going to just use a little bit of moss to kind of help mask my vase that's a little bit tall for the pumpkin. That way I can just use what I have on hand. So it's just kind of thinking outside the box. This is some moss that I have from the craft store. I think it's called reindeer moss. I could have gone to a tree and grabbed one too, but I kind of like how that looks. And then also what is helpful if you didn't have any moss is to get things that kind of dangle over, or you could cut a little bit more into the bottom of the pumpkin. So here I have a little bit of amaranth that has a little bit of a trail to it, and that would help mask it. And then if you had something that was just for a one night dinner kind of thing, you could also use just a few things tucked down into the pumpkin between the edge of your vase and the pumpkin. So especially hardy things that stay, like, you know, the mumps, those are just amazing. They just do super, super well. Now the last two arrangements I've done are very, very jeweled tones. So just kind of keeping with that theme, I think this time of year, the garden just kind of lends itself to that color palette, I think naturally. So I'm adding in some of the last of the peony foliage from the farm, and I love how it's kind of that ambered color on the edge, and it just kind of looks a little tattered, but beautiful coloring. This also is going to help mask that little section down there where the vase is a little bit taller than the pumpkin. So I'm gonna go ahead and start adding in my flowers, and I'm just gonna take a moment, design, and we're gonna put on some good music. Grab yourself a cup of tea. I know I am drinking some of the farmhouse teas that we have. They're linked below. Yummy, yummy teas. This time of year is perfect to pour yourself some tea during midday. Have a little ginger snap cookie or something like that. Or in this case, we can make some pumpkin cookies. Things like that that just make your design day so much better. Okay, well, I definitely cut way too many stems, and it's a massive arrangement. I think I've done better. But you know what? It was fun to do, and we have such a beautiful day here on the farm that it filled my heart, so that's what matters. I think in the future I probably grab a taller pumpkin or a shorter vase, so that matters. And you know, it's been a while since I've done something like this, so this is just refreshing my memory, but those are a couple points that I would probably suggest that you do. The cylinder vase is something that you can get like at the dollar store. They're literally like 6-inch cylinders. So finding a pumpkin that was maybe a little bit larger might be helpful, not so flat. I love that look, but I think going forward, I would probably find a shorter vase, which I still might do. I am looking at this massive thing that it looks a little bit out of character. It looks a little bit, just design-wise, a little bit odd. So I might go run and see what I can find in the studio, see if I can find something. If I didn't have something, again, I might choose a different pumpkin, carve this one up, roast it, have it in the freezer, what have you. I do think the colors turned out lovely. I don't know about you guys, but those fall colors mixed in with some of the blues of that salvia were just beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna go see what I can find in the studio. So I found another. It's not really a vase, it's actually a candle holder, but I have a whole bunch of these, and I thought, you know, this will work perfectly. It's a little bit shorter. It's probably 3.5 inches tall, and it'll sit down in the pumpkin. I'll just have to cut the stems a little bit shorter, but let's see how this turns out. Perfect. Okay, I love that. So it's barely above that pumpkin. Okay, cut the stems. We're gonna shove them back down. I still do love that moss, so I'm gonna use that. Okay, this is way better, you guys. The proportions, that's what I was trying to say. The proportions are a little bit better. Okay, so we're gonna find my moss, which I think I threw on the ground. Not on purpose, it just fell. We're gonna tidy that up underneath, tucking it in. That finishes it off really nicely. So you can tell it just looks a little bit more cohesive with the pumpkin. Okay, lesson learned. I broke one of these. Let's clean that off. There you go. Now to clean up my mess. Okay, here it is, just beautiful. Look at that, I just brought it over into the shade again. I think it was wise that I went and got a smaller vase, tucked it in, took the time to do that. Now that was another beautiful thing about not using tape, is that you could just pull your whole arrangement out, cut the stems, didn't have to do a thing, fluff it a little bit, and voila, there you go. Perfect table centerpiece. It is low enough now, but I think I might stage this on an entryway, a table or something like that. I'm not totally for sure yet. I might try it on the table and see how it looks, but there you got it. Beautiful, a pumpkin, easy, easy, easy to do with a minor few tweaks. Okay, not perfect. It is what it is. All right, guys, until next time, much success in all you do and grow, and we'll be seeing you shortly back here at Crowley House Flower Farm and Nursery very soon. Bye.